AITA for not letting my daughter use my wife's dress for her own wedding?
I am 49, have 3 kids: Anna, F24, Michael, M19, and Caroline, F16. My wife, the kids' mom, passed away 16 years ago. She was the love of my life. We were high school sweethearts and got married while we were in college. She loved weddings and had planned hers since she was a little kid, so for our wedding she got a custom-made dress, very beautiful. I keep the dress in a hanger in my closet to keep her close in some way. Our kids love the dress too, because of the emotional value it has. We have some photos of our wedding day hanged in our house. Anna has always loved the dress and has said since she was young that she wanted a dress just like that one for her own wedding, which I thought was sweet. Her fiancé and her got engaged 2 months ago and they're planning their wedding.
Well, the issue is that Anna asked me to borrow my wife's dress and some other stuff, like the veil and some jewelry, for the wedding. I said she can wear the jewelry as long as she gives it back, but she can't use the dress or the veil. The thing is, my wife was on the chubby side, while Anna is very skinny, so she would have to modify the dress in order to fit her. I told her she can take some photos and get a custom-made dress that's like her mom's, but there's absolutely no way I'll let her borrow and ruin the dress. She got very upset and told me I can't gatekeep my wife's memory since she's their mom too. We argued and she left. Now my family is against me. They think I should let her borrow the dress. Some of my wife's family agree too since they said they'd like to see Anna wearing the dress.
However, some of my wife's family, like my mill, agree with me that the dress will never be the dame if Anna wears it. It'll be Anna's dress and not my wife's. So personally, I would say nah. The reason being is that you want to keep the dress the same in honor of your wife. Your daughter also seems to want to wear the dress and honor her mom. Also, from what I hear, most women would love for their daughters to wear their wedding dress. It would be a beautiful tradition. With that being said, I would sit down with your daughter and have a talk with her.
Info: what do you think your wife would want?
NTA. Let's also consider that Caroline has some skin in this game, and might not be able to undo Anna's alterations when it's her turn. Anna wants to cut the veil down. What if Caroline wants the cathedral length? Anna is thin. What if Caroline isn't? The fair thing to do with the dress is that neither gets it, but can use it as a model to have their own dresses made, and leave the original alone. Here's where you can compromise. Maybe each daughter can have a piece of the original dress fabric sewn into their own dresses, so mom is with them. Does the original veil have a crown? Or a bandeau? Or a pillbox? Let the seamstress carefully detach the original veil from that, and daughters can use the headpiece separately. Edit. Thank you for the awards.
Nah. I understand why Anna wants to wear the dress. However, as a sewist, I must tell you that a dress often can only be altered by sewing by about 1 or 2 sizes, depending on the style of the dress. Any more than that, fabric will need to be removed from the dress, effectively making it into a different dress. You are correct. The alterations would make your late wife's dress into Anna's dress.
IDK. It sounds like the dress is getting use. It's a regular visual reminder of the love of your life. That seems like a good and important use. I think it's valid for your daughter to ask and be upset when you say no. And just as valid for you to say no. I also think your needs and your daughter's are more important than speculations about what wife would have wanted. I'm a vote with nah.
You're not gatekeeping the memory. You're gatekeeping the dress, and you are well within your rights to say no. But please take this dress off the hanger and have it professionally preserved. The dress is taking damage as it now is, and I'm sure you don't want that.
There are several posts online where the brides have displayed at their wedding reception their mothers, grandmothers, mill, and gills, now vintage, antique, wedding dresses on mannequins along with photos of the women on their wedding days. I thought it was beautiful. I think something like this would be worth considering as a way to have her mother's memory incorporated into the wedding. NTA. I was going to say nah. However, you have another daughter and I see that she is also not in favor of Anna wearing the dress. Which, for me, changes the scales. Because you have two daughters, it means this cannot be an issue of daughter versus father. One daughter cannot be prioritized over another. I think a compromise needs to be reached and a discussion to be had, so that Anna gets to have something without having it entirely change the dress and veil. The jewelry is the best compromise I can think of for now. But I also have very little info on your wife's possessions. So I do hope Anna comes around to it. Nah, but if you do not give it to Anna, you can under no circumstances later give it to Caroline. I imagine most people saying YTA haven't been in the OP's shoes. I have. And he is absolutely, positively, 10,000% nah. First, unless Anna was at her parents' wedding, then she will never have the connection to the dress that her father will. Second, and I will absolutely get downvoted for this, regardless of what the OP's wife may have wanted, she doesn't get a vote. Unless she passed the dress in her will, it belongs to OP and he's within his rights to say no. If there's anything that seems odd, it's not letting her use the veil. As long as she agrees not to modify it, there shouldn't be a problem. But it's OP's call, and if this feels right, he should stick to his guns. I repeat, nah, in the strongest possible terms. Edit. Said NTA, meant nah. NTA. I agree with you and your mill on this. That was a custom dress made for yours and your wife's big day. I'd heartily go to the lengths of calling it gatekeeping, since you're not. You have given her the option of having a similar one made and that she can wear the jewelry borrowed. If feels more like the fam are more focused on the dress and memories of your wife, which by the way your daughter would then be on some pedestal of comparison. My partner knows I'd be down for smart casual when we get married. Hell, casual would not be out the picture at all because comfort. I think you offering that she can take pictures to have similar is a great idea. She can keep some similarity to mom while being herself. I'd be interested in the opinions of your other kids as well. After all, it would be then unfair to let one kid amend the dress if the others couldn't, since some alterations can't be easily fixed. NTA. But having a wedding dress custom made can be expensive these days, especially if she hadn't budgeted for it in her wedding fund. Are you financially in a position to contribute towards the cost of having a replica of the dress made for her? Why not gift them a photographer to get some engagement photos taken in the dress, which can be displayed at the wedding, e.g. on the table plan or centerpieces? Then the dress wouldn't need to be altered, just clipped for a few hours. You can gift that to both daughters as well. This reminds me of the movie 27 Dresses, where the younger sister wore her mom's dress, but cut it up so much that it was unrecognizable to the point you wouldn't know it was the same dress. The older sister was devastated. Your NTA. I would compromise on letting daughters as the veil and jewelry. I would stand strong on the dress because it means so much to you. Nah. If the wedding dress is one of the few things you've kept to feel close to your belated wife, I get not feeling ready to let it go. It'd be awesome if you would let your daughter wear it with the necessary fit alterations. Maybe compromise to letting her borrow the veil as long as alterations aren't made. Nah. But I have questions. 1. What does the dress symbolize to your oldest daughter? I doubt this is really about just wanting the fabric. 2. Is the dress the only item that is regularly viewed as part of their mother? Is the jewelry otherwise forgotten in the back of a drawer, and your daughter does not actively associate it with her mother? Is there another way for your daughter to feel the inclusion of her mother? 3. How did your wife honor her own mother at your wedding? Did they spend days poring over options for the wedding dress, so the dress felt like a physical manifestation of the bond between mother and daughter? Would your mill be up for bonding with your daughter this way, especially as your daughter deals with the predatory wedding industry? 4. Would your younger children be interested in creating a tradition to incorporate their mom all of their weddings? Please do not exclude your son. He lost his mom, too. What about sharing a secret recipe of hers, which could then be handed down to all of the children? Did she have a favorite poem? Would a picture of her on a reserved seat be special? I could not wear my mother's wedding dress, as she was much taller and a different shape than I am. I made my own ribbon bouquet and incorporated fake flowers from her wedding. We literally tied the knot, using ribbons that were sentimental to our families. I ordered my dress from eBay, as I could not emotionally handle the expectation that the mother of the bride helps with the dress. It all worked out. Depending on how many sizes different they are, it may not even be possible to alter it. I know when I got married they said they could only alter in by 1 or 2. Nah, I think you should keep it. I wouldn't give it to her. NTA. And also seamstress here. Altering this dress is just a bad idea if the hope is to get it back and continue loving it as you currently are. I know you have many comments already, but here is the language you need to know to make your case. As you navigate this tricky issue, I have altered many wedding dresses. I was a professional seamstress for years. Once altered, you are correct, it would 100% become Anna's dress, and even if the plan going into the alteration is take it in then let it back out, you wouldn't be able to do that and return it to what it was. 1. Finding a seamstress talented and understanding enough to perform such an alteration with the utmost care is neither easy or cheap. Seamstresses at bridal boutiques who alter dresses bought at the boutique are accustomed to working from certain brands and types of dresses. They estimate their time and price with general working knowledge of the dress. Someone brought me a modern wedding dress made by a cheaper Chinese vendor a couple years ago, and it followed none of the sewing conventions of a 10 or 20K wedding dress you'd buy in the States from a major brand. A vintage custom dress is going to be just as much of a random dice roll, with decisions made by the original maker not necessarily making logical sense to a modern bridal alteration seamstress. The seamstress could become very frustrated trying to make the type of reversible alteration you'd be after. And frustrated seamstresses is not what you want. You can't exactly stand next to her and make sure she isn't butchering the item internally. You can tell her, I want it to be restored afterward, but it will all be hidden behind a lining when it comes back. And reversing the alterations won't necessarily be her problem. So there's zero guarantee your wishes will be respected and the fabric won't just get stitched, slashed, and removed while it's out of your hands. If that happens, it can't ever go backwards. I personally wouldn't trust another seamstress to do this alteration and respect the memory of your wife. The job is well paying, but it's not that well paying. 2. An item of this age will likely be more damaged by the alteration than a newer item. Fabric becomes brittle over time, and even if vintage items are still wearable, they don't bounce back as readily, meaning they're more likely to hold shape of the wearer or break when worn. Stitching in particular can break because the threads and fabric degrade on different timelines. Same goes for any other contrasting material or stabilizing lining material. You can't just wash a wedding dress afterwards like a vintage t-shirt either to make it snap back. Dry cleaning isn't really washing something either. Wearing a wedding dress for a day, you will move and sweat, and it takes on the creases and folds and curves of your body. Even if Anna was the same body type as your wife, the dress would change from being worn. Creases and folds, and very importantly, the smell of the dress will be very different. 3. Altering a wedding dress is not as simple as taking it in and letting it out again later. I don't know the dress style, but they're generally very precision garments, and excess fabric must be removed to get the sculpted look. When I alter a wedding dress, I cut and remove a fair bit of fabric, and if I didn't, the dress would look poor on the outside due to the additional bulk of fabric folded and creased inside. In some cases you wouldn't even have the option of not cutting it, because some seams require a perpendicular cut to the stitch to get the seam to lay correctly on the finished side. Without the perpendicular cuts, the fabric puckers on the finished side and won't lie or fit correctly. Stitch marks also damage fabric. Even if the fabric could all be maintained and the original cut restored, you'd be adding thousands of needle holes to the fabric. Bridal fabric is not forgiving to needle holes. Even if the best silk needles are used, there will be visible holes afterward if new stitches are added and removed. They won't necessarily disappear even if dry cleaned or pressed out. Nor will creases from pressing the fabric to the new shape. Also, pressing the fabric, especially older fabric, risks damage as well. The user who commented that a small piece could be taken from the main dress, but also from the lining or veil or whatever, and added to your girl's own new dresses, is definitely the way to go, because it allows a small enough piece of fabric to be taken from the main dress in a way that can be done artistically without compromising the rest. Something like a diamond keyhole could be made with fresh embroidery to finish the new raw edge on the old dress. Would be a small permanent change, but one that retains the general integrity of the dress. Plus, it can be taken from a less visible area of the dress that won't alter your experience of it. I also quite like the comment one user said about it still being in use. I think that's very correct. The kids need to understand the dress, to you, has become like a custom portrait or sculpture of your wife. It's not just a dress that can be borrowed, worn, taken off, and returned. The accommodation Anna is asking for is more like asking you to let an oil painter paint Anna's portrait over your wife's portrait, then giving it back later and expecting you to be able to relate to it in the same way you relate to it now. As a seamstress, I'm telling you that's not possible. It would be the portrait of Anna for the rest of time. Your wife may have loved to give the dress to her daughters one day, but your wife also left this world too early, and the happiness of everyone she loved still on earth would matter to her. Her decision would be different in this circumstance than it would be if she was alive. As others have said, you have 2 daughters. That changes the calculus considerably. Good luck, op. NTA. You weren't gatekeeping anything, you were preserving a memory. You offer a lot of reasonable compromises. She is trying to get your family to bully you into saying yes.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.